Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Nicole D. Flores, a third-year student of Bachelor of Science in Tourism Management. We will be presenting to you our report today entitled Cultural Heritage Tourism. What is cultural heritage tourism? Cultural heritage is a collection of significant cultural assets that are passed down from generation to generation. Physical artifacts include works of art, literature, music, archaeological and historical artifacts, as well as buildings, monuments, and historic sites, whereas intangible attributes include social customs, traditions, and practices that are often based on aesthetic and spiritual beliefs as well as oral traditions. So, what is cultural heritage tourism? Cultural heritage tourism involves visiting places that are significant to the past or present cultural identity of a particular group of people. The National Trust for Historic Preservation defines heritage tourism as traveling to experience the places, artifacts, and activities that authentically represent the stories and people of the past. And heritage tourism includes cultural, historic, and natural resources. There are two types of cultural heritage tourism. The first one is intangible and the second one is tangible. The first one, intangible, means incapable of being perceived by touch. And the second one means tangible is something that people can see, feel, or touch. So, let us proceed to our next slide and give you some examples of intangible cultural heritage tourism. So, for the intangible or non-physical, sign and symbols passed on by oral transmission. So, word of mouth or viva voce is the passing of information from one person to another person using oral communication, which could be as simple as telling someone the time of the day. One example of intangible cultural heritage that is under by sign and symbol passed on by oral transmission is our Philippine national anthem. This is because Philippines has its official national symbol, and examples of that are our national flag, national bird, national tree, and national anthem. So, national anthem because it is a official symbol that is still passed on by oral transmission. So let us proceed to our next slide. The second example is artistic and literary form of expression. Literature, precisely because of its artifice, reaches music existing in nature, older than human themselves, does not have to slog through the rigid structure of language. It exists purely in the realm of the spirit. Music is more inextricable than language from the human experience. So, artistic and literary form of expression. Literature is a form of human expression. But not everything is expressed in words. Even when organized and written down is counted as literature. To use the word writing when describing literature is itself misleading, for one may speak oral literature or the literature of the pre-literate people. The art of literature is not reducible to the words on the pages. They are there solely because of the craft of writing. As an art, literature might be described as the organization of words to give pleasure. Yet through words, literature elevates and transforms those experiences beyond mere pleasures.
Good day everyone, my name is Jetal Joytipagad from BSTM3 Section 1. Moving on to our next topic is the languages. So here in the Philippines, we have two languages, which is Filipino and English. And also we have 8 dialects, which is Bicolano, Cebuano, Hiligaynon or Ilonggo, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Pangasinan, Tagalog, and Waray. Because the majority of Filipinos here in the Philippines are multilingual. So, some of us ngayon na marami na tayong languages na na-adapt. Like, for example, dito is yung sa Korea. So, ngayon, maraming millennials na nag-aano sa K-pop. Na-adapt nila yung K-pop, panunood ng Korean. Na-adapt nila yung languages, yung iba sa atin. So, ayun. So, but here in the Philippines, we have a main dialect talaga, which is Tagalog. So, next is ways of life. So, ano nga ba yung way of life? Ways of life. So, a way of life is the behavior and habits that are typical of a particular person or group or that are chosen by them. So, when we say ways of life is, ito yung uri ng pamumuhay. Halimbawa dito, kapag nakatira ka sa tabing dagat, yung uri ng pamumuhay mo is pangingisda, paghuhuli ng isda. So, kapag naman yung uri ng pamumuhay mo is nasa sentro ng sibilisasyon, most likely, ang uri ng pamumuhay nila doon ay blue and white collar jobs. When we say blue collar job is ayun yung mga ayun yung mga driver, construction worker, and also a factory worker. So, ayun yung tinatawag nilang blue collar jobs. So, next is yung white collar jobs naman is ayun yung nagtatrabaho sa office. Yung may mga coat, mga suits, and also may necktie. Ayun yung tinatawag na white collar jobs. So, the next is myth, beliefs, and rituals. So, it is a symbolic narrative, usually of unknown origin and at least partly traditional, that ostensibly relates actual events and that is especially associated with religious belief. So, ang halimbawa ko dito sa myth is kapre, manananggal, tsaka diwata. So, tayo kasi iba sa atin hindi naniniwala dito at iba din sa atin naniniwala talaga. So, yung myth is haka-haka. So, kaya siguro sinasabing myth kasi may mga tao talaga hindi naniniwala at may mga tao talaga na naniniwala talaga. So, ayun yung example ko, yung kapre, mananagal, tsaka diwata. So, next is yung belief, which is pagmamano, tsaka yung black cat or itim na pusa. So, dito sa itim na pusa, kaya siya tinatawag na belief, yung paniniwala. Kasi maraming tao sa atin naniniwala na yung itim na pusa is malas tsaka aswang. So, yung iba naman, hindi sila naniniwala ron. Kaya siguro sinasabi nilang itim na pusa, malas tsaka aswang yung itim na pusa kasi itim siya. And siya yung parang sa kanila, tingin nila sa kanila, masamang ano yung pusa. So, dito naman sa rituals, yung halimbawa ko dito is yung Semana Santa tsaka yung binyag. So, kaya siguro alam naman natin na ito yung ritual talaga bilang Catholic, yung iba kasi ibang religious. Pero, alam naman na nila dito na ito talaga yung ano ng mga Catholic. So, ayun. So, ito yung myth and beliefs and rituals.
My name is Johanna Buena from BSTM 3.1. Value system. Values can be classified as good or bad and right and wrong, which are influence our everyday behavior. Kumbaga, ito yung pag-uugali ng isang tao. Knowledge. Refer to knowledge system embedded in the cultural tradition, regional, indigenous, or local communities. Example, dancing, singing, cultural tradition, etc. Know-how. Knowledge of how to do something smoothly and efficiently. First, specific. Be specific what is your goal. Measurable. Dapat alam mo kung hanggang saan at hanggang kailan ito. Attainable. Proceed to the goal na mabilis or madaling ma-achieve. relevant, dapat lahat ay related at konektado. Time-based, mag-set ka sa sarili mo or sa group na dapat ganitong araw or buwan is tapos na.
Moving on, these are the example of physical or tangible cultural heritage tourism. First is monument. Preserving monuments is very important because they serve as evidence of past times and culture. They show us what our shared Filipino identity is. For example, the Rizal Park, also known as Luneta Park. It is located at Ermita, Manila, where the country's national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, was executed. His monument was built to honor him. Also, this is where political rallies, oath-taking, and national events were held. Next is archaeological sites, provides opportunity to learn about past cultures or history through studying artifacts. Example is the Kagsawa ruins, located at the city of Daraga in Albay province. It is the fragments of the Kagsawa church. It was built in 1587 but burned by the Dutch pirates in 1636. Third is movable heritage collections. Example of this is Manunggul jar. It was discovered in a cave at Lipon Point, Quezon, Palawan on March 1964 by a team of volunteer workers headed by Victor Decalan and Hans Castel. Burial jar was topped with two figures which represents voyage to the afterlife. The front figure is the deceased man with hands crossed on his chest, which was a widespread practice in the Philippines when arranging the corpse. The rear figure, on the other hand, is holding a steering paddle, directing the boat and soul of the man to the afterlife. The jar served as a living reminder of the country's rich history and culture since its existence during the late Neolithic period.
My name is Alia Andre P. Oliveras from DSTM 31. So let's move on to historic urban areas. The term urban heritage can be used to describe a variety of heritage components found in urban areas. It includes archaeological artifacts, historic structures, vernacular architecture, historical gardens, social activities, rituals, and festive occasions. Also, the term urban heritage can refer to the city itself, a unique kind of cultural property most frequently connected to town, cities, or historic cities. Some examples of urban heritage are the dungeons in Intramuros and the Paco Park. Next is vernacular heritage. Vernacular heritage is the fundamental expression of a community's culture, of its relationship to its land, and at the same time of the cultural diversity of the entire world. The traditional varieties means by which communities have themselves is through vernacular construction. Some examples of vernacular heritage are Bahay Kubo and Bahay na Bato. Lastly is cultural landscape. Cultural landscapes are expression of regional identity, cultural narratives, and artistic works. The examples of cultural landscapes are the Banawe rice terraces and the Fugao houses in Baguio.